Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swarm, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know I am. You know I'm here to do. I'm here to rock. Joining me as always, Xavier Guerrero, and on the ones and twos, Jay Nice, Juicy Johnny Woodard.
Woo-woo.
Hey guys, first of all, I want to say thank you everybody who came out to Cleveland, came out to Pottstown, came out to Pittsburgh. You guys shredded. It was great. The shows were all great. We're so blessed to have the fans like you, and you know, you guys did great. Xavier crushed. I mean, just fire. The guy is fire. Loved him, loved you, loved everybody. Thank you guys. If you want to see SamTripoli live, go check out this what is this? The last night was great. So on the 19th, I have West Hills. Oh yeah, real quick. Thank you to everybody who came out to Comedy Chaos. You were amazing. Great show ever. Comedy Chaos is the great show ever. Who knows how much longer it will go, but it is the great show ever. West Hills, my rabbit hole show. The revival number 3 is catching fire. We have Robbie, the Fire, Bernstein going up. So come down, check that out. And then, of course, Batavia at the end of the month, one of my favorite clubs. I can't wait to do that. Conspiracy Social Club will be in Bakersfield at the end of February, and Huntington Beach at the Rec Room. SamTripoli, Brian Callen at the again at the Rec Room. And then finally, my live taping has been moved back a week, so it will now be in March. I just want to record this stuff. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
Enjoy this episode with Charlie Robinson. It is fire. He pulls no punches. Bang, bang, pow. Enjoy.
Drink from the fountain of knowledge.
All right, let's get into it. Very excited to have him on. He's part of the Union of the Unwanted. He's one of the founding fathers. He's got a great podcast called Macro Aggressions, and he has a radio show he's going to tell us a little bit about called The Charlie Robinson Radio Show. Please welcome Charlie Robinson. How are you, brother?
I am very good. It's great to be back.
We're happy to have you. You're coming in. We're in a nice run, so it's perfect time to have you on. The new year, you know, we chose violence this year. We're bringing the heat, bringing the pain, and you're perfectly aligned with that. So how are you, buddy?
I'm down with it, man. This is 2024 is Jewish tunnels and 10-foot aliens at the Miami Mall, baby. Let's do it.
I love it, Bro. All of it. The Cat Williams.
Yep.
Dude, I had a great conversation with Jeffrey Wilson about Cat Williams and how, like, that whole thing. But anyways, we'll get into all that. I wanted to talk to you about, you got a new radio. For those who may not have seen your multiple appearances on the show, tell us a little bit about yourself and where our listeners can find you.
I've got a brand new website, macroaggressions.io. You can go take a look, see what I've got cooking over there. You can find out about the Macroaggressions podcast, our Union of the Unwanted show, Day Zero. I do that with a couple of lunatics every Sunday. And also this one on TNT Radio, this daily show, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, TNTradio.live. I'm like a newscaster. It's wild, man. I've got like an invisible earpiece, and I can hear the studio in Australia is telling me who's coming in and who's leaving. I mean, it feels really professional. I'm not professional at all, but
Charlie, you are professional. In the world of conspiracy theorists. You probably the most professional.
Smartest kid on the short bus. Great.
You're shredded. You're like 150. What are you now?
What's that?
Well, what's your weight now?
Oh yeah, I am. I'm lean and mean, man. Tim James got me on the chemical free body program, and
Tim James is great. I'm on Joel Staley. I'm doing Tim James. I also have Joel Staley giving me workout stuff, and he just got done doing a 7-day fasting. I don't know how you do it. I would love to try that.
What's your
Done
max?
4 days.
Yeah, what's your max, Sam? 4, right? 3?
3.
3.
I've done 4. You get to a point where you're not super hungry.
You're not
I'm not
happy
like
either.
I'm not like a huge like binge eater or anything like that anyway. So it doesn't really, I'm fine. After the first day, I'm like, I'm good. I did a 4-day fast and was at the gym every day too. And everyone's like, oh, you'll die. And then I
Can
read
I
up on it.
fast
They're
and
like,
do jujitsu? Can I
they're like,
fast?
no,
and
no,
do-
no, it's good. It's really good for you actually to work out while you're fasting. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So that's, yeah. New year, new attitude, new website, new logo, new. I'm going to be heading off in a couple weeks to Acapulco. I'm going to be the host and MC this year,
Look at
2024.
this, dude. Charlie, you've come so far since you flew in that one day to my old studio.
I know.
You're doing great. So,
appreciate it.
Acapulco, where is that? When is that? And where can they find out more about it?
Anarchapulco.com is the place to go online. It's in Acapulco, Mexico. It's the largest anarchist conference in the world. This is the 10th anniversary of it. Jeff Berwick started it a long time ago, and it's growing every single year. It's a 5-day event. It goes from February 11th through the 16th. Each day is something different. You got day 1 is like fuck the government day, and day 2 is like crypto, and day 3 is like the people that are building parallel systems. Day 4 is like all the doctors are there, like all the people that are. So it's fascinating. It's a carnival atmosphere. It's the coolest trade show you've ever been to. It's in Acapulco, Mexico in February. So it's like what's the worst that can happen? You're in beautiful Mexico when it's cold everywhere else. So it's such an inspiring time. I always if anyone wants to go to narcapulco.com, read up about it. If you find something you like, if you want to do you want to get tickets and come out and go, please do. If you want to live stream it, you can do all that stuff. The discount code's macro if you want to save yourself some money, but it's always, this will be the 4th year for me. And I've met so many interesting people there, not just the speakers that are speaking, but just the audience. It's so international. You get a lot of Australians, a lot of people from Canada, a lot of people from Portugal for some reason, and then a lot of people that are from somewhere else. And you go like, where are you from? And they go, well, I'm from Canada, but I live in Puerto Vallarta. Or I'm from Australia, but I live in Cabo, or I'm, whatever. So there's a lot of people that have relocated to Mexico because Mexico is sort of like, the government will come around and tell them, you've got to do this. And then everyone will look at them and go, we're not doing that. And then they just go and do their own thing. So it's hard to control.
They call that Irish democracy.
I like it. It's nice. It's a nice thing, and the people at Acapulco, it's not Molotov cocktail throwing contest or anything.
All right, so you brought that up. I gotta ask you. I watched the Vice documentary they had on you, which is you're killing it. If Vice puts a 5-part series show on you, you're killing it. Did that bring any backlash? Because obviously they weren't promoting it. They were really, made it look bad. I knew it was a whole opposite. I'm like, man, these guys are the worst. Did it bring any backlash?
No, it made more people want to come.
There we go. Yeah.
No, the series Vice did work on it. HBO did a 6-part series on it as well, and in the end, it didn't paint everybody as lunatics. Look, there's some people in any community that are going to be doing things that are going to get themselves in a lot of trouble. The people that got shot in Mexico were infringing on cartel territory. They were warned. They were selling drugs.
Yeah, they were selling drugs on property, or that they say allegedly.
Yeah, you just, there's certain things that if you do it, you can't act surprised when bad things happen to you. I'm not saying they deserved it or anything like that, because I've met Henza and I've met some of the people from there that were Lily, who's one of the main characters. She was when Henza got shot, her boyfriend got killed, and she kind of watched the whole thing play out. Like, they're good people. They're super nice people. The ones, but if you're in that world and you're in that city and you're doing things that the cartel says you can't do this, then don't do it. I mean, like, and
I agree with that.
So at Anarchapulco, there's none of that. You know what I mean? Like, I think if people went down there and they were looking for like, we're just gonna, it's gonna be like a riot, or it's gonna be like, like tire burnings or what, you'd be very disappointed, because what really goes on is that the first year I was there, I was waiting to go do the ayahuasca ceremony, which was happening at 9:00 at night, and it was like 8:00. And I was in the lobby of the hotel, and I see all these buses pull up, and I asked this guy, "Hey, what are the buses here for?" And he's like, "Oh, are you in that group?" I'm like, "No, I'm in the ayahuasca group." And they're like, "Oh, well, the buses, all those people are going to this nature preserve to let baby sea turtles out into the ocean at night so that they, make it into the water." I was like, "Damn, man, that's some anarchy." Like I was expecting like something a lot, just in my mind, it was chaos. When I got there, it was the most like peaceful, harmonic place around. Everyone's super nice. And what I thought was really interesting the first time I went was how broad the age range was. Like, there's 20-year-olds and there's like 70-year-olds. I know that because I was in an ayahuasca session with a bunch of old people. I mean, it's crazy. It's so I leave that every week that I've done it, the 3 times. I get on the plane, I feel the same way. I am overwhelmed and so glad that I went there and that I met the people I met, and a lot of them I stay in touch with. But then there's this letdown. It's like, oh, I got to go back to like reality.
Yeah. Well, when you get super zen and then you have to go back to reality, it could be shocking. I did that when I did Float Tank in Jersey City. And
But I'll tell you what, though, the people that are there are so smart and so clever and are light years ahead of the general public. They are not just complainers. They're doers. They're people that are like, the system is broken. I'm not even going to bother trying to fix it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build a different version. I'm going to build a different system that I think is better than this. I'm not going to try and fix the public school system in the United States. That would be pointless. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build the coolest unschooling, homeschooling program that's scalable, that anybody can use in any country. And people see that and they just go, so it's not a matter of like, I'm going to fix the world. It's, I'm going to build a better mousetrap, and then I'm going to peel off people from the existing world and say, look at this new mousetrap that's better. And eventually the old system will just sort of rot away because it's obsolete. A lot of the things that we have in this world, the money we use, the media that we consume, it's obsolete. Those days are gone. Like, that stuff is dinosaurs. And so when I go to Anarchapulco, what I see the future. I see what's going to happen in 10 years from now. And it's really inspiring.
So do you still have hope?
Yeah.
You still have hope?
Yeah. No, that's the thing about the event for me, is it's like it recharges my batteries for an entire, for the rest of the year. Because, I feel like at the end of the year, you get kind of drained. You're like, oh God, this is a grind, and these people in power are so awful.
Yeah.
And it feels like, there's that, what are we going to, it's just little old me. What am I going to do? And then I go to the event and I come back and I go, we're good. We're better than good. We're going to be the ones thriving after all of this nonsense. But we've got to go through some pain. And I think 2024 is the beginning of some real pain. And, but we got to go through it, baby. We got to do it.
I agree, dude. I agree. I think we got to go through it to get to it. I say it all the time. So I'm very excited. I do want to make it. There's so much amazing stuff going down in Mexico. I would love to get down there. My kids are at an age right now where I need to be a lot more hands-on, but down as they get a little older, I think I'll be making, a couple runs. I would love to go down. I'd love to be a part of that. Tim James has some stuff going on down there as well. Not Mexico. He's in Costa
Colombia.
Rica, I think. So I'd love to make it down that way for sure. So, what do you want to get into today? I know you wanted to talk some DEI, right? Correct?
Well, it's been funny to watch this happen over the last couple of weeks with the Harvard situation. You know what I mean? It's like you can plagiarize 50 papers, you can plagiarize your PhD thesis, you can take away student rights, you can silence their voices, you can make them wear masks, you can make them inject untested, unproven gene therapy into them as a requirement to go to school. But don't you dare criticize the Jews. If you do that, you're out. we saw what happened there. The minute they went hard on the Palestine stuff, all of a sudden it was like, oh, she's got to go. It's like, she should have never been there in the first place. That Claudine Gay was completely and utterly unqualified for the position. Why don't we talk about that? Like, why? It's funny. Like with the Harvard thing, it's like, well, she has to go all of a sudden. It's like, well, are you going to? So can Harvard students plagiarize 50 different times, and you're still going to keep? Are you going to expel them? Because it's so hypocritical. The entire DEI industry it's massively hypocritical, the whole thing. So it
is a part of a giant demoralization campaign.
Yes.
It's cultural Marxism disguised as opportunity. And in reality, it is about completely demoralizing the masses.
100%. And it is so effective too. And Yuri Bezmenov talks about this. He talks about this. If you watch those interviews with Ed Griffin, where they look like they're going to Studio 54 afterwards, they're talking about ideological subversion. And they're talking about this in the 70s. And if you heard this interview in the 70s, you'd probably think like, oh, well, I mean, it sounds reasonable. But you watch it now, and you do the math, and he's talking about like the demoralization process takes 20 years. The destruction process takes 5 years.
Yes.
If you introduce a crisis, that needs to take 6 weeks. And then after the crisis, we have a process called normalization. That's the fourth step. And so for people to sort of understand this in American terms as like, well, what does this mean? The demoralization process, like, give me an example. Are you taking off your shoes to get on an airplane still? Yes. The situation has
sometimes when they want you to or when they don't want you to.
Right.
Because it's not mandatory. Because if it was mandatory, I'd be like, all right, whatever. In some airports, you're allowed to. In other ones, they don't. Sometimes they tell you to put the bag in. Sometimes they don't. It's up to them.
And I think they want you to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they want you to see the inconsistency. You go, wait a second. If we're really trying to prevent me from putting liquid explosives in my shoe, okay, then why aren't you doing it for everybody? If that's really the thing, or is it just that you just want to control us? So when I saw,
or again, you want to demoralize us. You want to make us miserable in this experience. At every turn, there's a misery done. When I know this might not be in your wheelhouse, Charlie, maybe it is, but Tataria, right? When we get into like the architecture, let's not even go into like whether there was an empire, the architecture that we see that everyone brings up as Tataria, right? We're like, we can't do this anymore. And then lo and behold, out of nowhere comes this Hindu building in New Jersey that is literally the most gorgeous thing you will ever see in New Jersey. Somebody created something that they loved. And then you go, oh, we do have the ability to do this. These people choose not to. Because when I look at this gorgeous Hindu building, it fills my eyes and my heart with love. When I look at this stupid ass kind of like janky, none of the corners match architecture that they want to do on all these new apartment complex, it's not fun to look at.
No.
And that is again, every moment is a demoralization campaign to get you agitated.
You know how like the World Economic Forum paints this picture of like, you'll own nothing, but you'll be happy and you'll have access to this and you'll be in a 15-minute city and everything that you need will be nearby. It feels like a timeshare sales pitch to me. It feels like the ad campaign for global communism. So when Bezmenov was talking about this, he's talking about destruction and demoralization and all of that. Think about like Soviet architecture and how drab and boring and cookie cutter and gray and uninspiring it is, right? It's part of that process. You can't, it tears your soul out. And in America, Sam, you've got kids, right? So if you watch a Pixar movie, you know how like the kids are, there's dialogue and the kids are laughing at it for one reason and you're laughing at it for another reason. Because there's almost like two jokes rolled into one. There's one for the parents and one for the kids. I feel like part of this demoralization is it's horrible for a bunch of people. And it really sort of oppresses a bunch of people. But for the small minority like us that can see it for what it is, I am of the belief that they want us, like for us, there's a different show. And that show is we want you to know that we know that you know, and we want you to see it. And we want you to know there's nothing you can do about it. Because that's the real, that when they get you to feel like there is no hope, it's over. And they need you to feel that way. They need to take the soul out of you. And you feel like you've been, you take a look back and you go, has the soul been removed from music? Feels like it. Has the soul been removed from movies? Oh yeah. Has DEI been injected into movies to make everybody, oh, here's a person in a wheelchair who's a superhero. You're like, what? What are you talking about?
How about we were talking about this last night on Broken Sim? The new Mossad superhero? Like,
no, there is not. Stop.
Oh, Johnny, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be in the new. We think it was gonna be in the new Captain America film, and if I'm not mistaken, it's a woman. It's a female hero. Her name is Sabra.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell to you, Sabra? Like the hummus? That's
The hummus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Sabra, Sabra. I'm just looking at it here, and she was in Mossad. Apparently, though, they had an emergency meeting after the false flag in Israel, and they are doing some rewrites. So it would not surprise me if this somehow got
didn't test well, huh?
Yeah.
It's her superpower murdering kids.
Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our boy James McMahon and Copy My Crypto. Let me tell you about Copy My Crypto. We all know crypto's on the way back. It's killing it. Okay. And guys, there's so many people making ridiculous money from crypto. But did you know it's easy for you to do the same? The Copy My Crypto membership site shows you the coins that YouTuber James McMahon personally holds and allows you to copy them. It's like having a big brother who knows what he's doing. You don't need to know a thing about crypto or how to invest as you simply do what he does. It's that simple, okay? So let me tell you about James. He runs Crypto with James YouTube channel, which despite heavy censorship has over 26,000 subscribers. Since March 2020, he told his viewers to buy 26 crypto coins. Had you put $100 into each, it went on to be worth $123,000. Okay. Of the 26 coins, his top pick, a coin called Phantom, went up 692 times from when he said. That one call alone retired a number of people, including guys in their 20s and 30s. Remember, this is public knowledge. You can go to YouTube and verify this yourself. So if you'd like to join the 2,800 members who copy James, then stop what you're doing right now and head to copymycrypto.com/TFH. That's copymycrypto.com/TFH. That's TFH. Okay. You'll not only find proof of everything I've said, but my listeners get full access for just $1. It's that simple. So once again, that's copymycrypto.com/TFH. The recession is here, guys. You can suffer like everyone else, or choose to thrive. James is the real deal. Go visit his site now. You're kind of saying that that the Jews run everything if you're saying that.
She is a mutant and serves as an agent to the Israeli Secret Service known as Mossad.
Oh.
Dr.
back.
Mendele. Dr. Mendele got to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really crazy, bro. It's just
Yeah.
like they pitched that. They pitched that and someone greenlit that shit.
They pitched She-Hulk, and someone was like, "Yes, we need this. This is what we
Yes,
need."
bitch. Yes, bitch. Yes.
Yes, bitch.
Brought
Yes,
it
that's
back
exactly
for
how
a
they.
second
That's,
season. They brought back for a second season.
well, they didn't want to appear racist against whatever. I don't know.
It's just, I mean,
misogynist.
if they had any designs toward actually making money, you know, I mean, none of this would have been made because these aren't the people who read comics. You know, I mean,
Ghostbusters is
look
coming
at
back.
the people who read comics. It's none of those people are entertained by She-Hulk.
No. In fact, not only are they not entertained, they're mortified by it, and they're disgusted, and it moves them away from wanting to like this. It's a total destruction of culture. And that's important. If you can just, I mean, listen, if Marvel is your culture, then your culture is pretty weak. But it's part of many, right? It's the destruction of Star Wars. It's the destruction of all this stuff.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm going to bring in this new director who's like, I love making men uncomfortable. Hey, great marketing. I have a marketing degree and I worked at an ad agency. You know what you don't do? You don't alienate half of your audience. Let me say, you don't alienate 80% of your audience if it's Star Wars by saying that you enjoy making men comfortable. You know what men can do to make you uncomfortable? Not go to the movie, not buy the toys, not participate in this stuff. And let Disney, Disney has lost $170 billion in market capitalization in the last 3 years. I hope it's worth it. Yeah. I hope they're getting made up on the back end by, in some DEI ESG fund that's sitting off to the side that BlackRock
the
has.
Fed cleans it up.
They're going to need
these at the highest levels, the Fed cleans it up all the time. That's all they do. They just clean it up. And it's just super sad. It's just super sad. But
the failure of the Marvels, though, is just a taste of what's going to. I mean, you saw that movie just absolutely fell on its face at the box office. And, dude, that's just a taste of what's going to happen with this Star Wars film if they keep pursuing it like this, because Star Wars fans are way testier by and large than Marvel fans. It's going to be a nightmare for them if they really push it.
So crazy, dude.
But it started recently, though, too, with Jon Favreau took over directing like Mandalorians and doing all that stuff. He's a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader. You know what I mean? Like, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, I love swingers. Yeah.
Really? I did not know that. That's so crazy to me.
It's crazy, man. It's putting me in there's these times where I'm very conflicted because it's like, dude, you did Swingers. Swingers was like the shit. Sam, you and I are the same age. We were living in LA at the same time. That was like a documentary to me.
That's crazy. It's so weird because like the Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau relationship reminds me so much of the Jimmy Kimmel, Adam Carolla relationship.
Too. That's so funny. Me too. I always connect that together where they were great and then they went apart.
Yeah. And like one's gone on to like humongous things and then just says like Jon Favreau was like, oh my God, did you see Biden's speech? So articulate, so sane, I'm like, dude, did they really get to you? Like, I mean, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about?
Maybe that's what he has to say for them to let him make just remotely palatable Star Wars TV, because he's the only one doing it right now. Him and Dave Filoni, the guy he's partnered with in that effort.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind. And, I see that on a much smaller level too. Like, I see comedians like getting like listen, I love Dave Chappelle. I'm not necessarily, I don't think he is like the bravest of brave. I don't think anything done on a private jet is brave, and that's all he does is fly private jets everywhere. So I don't think you're doing anything brave if you're doing it on a private jet. Okay, but I mean, like the way I see comedians reacting to Dave Attell doing a trans joke. And Ari had a funny joke about last night. I'm not gonna give it away because he's probably working on it for his about Dave Chappelle and the trans jokes. But the way people push back on that, and it's just, and then you have like the Golden Globes where the guy who was in the Chinese Marvel comic movie, Shaolin something or whatever it was. What was it, Johnny, that they said was going to bomb and it did well, but it was the Kung Fu one?
Yeah.
Something Rings or something like that. Him.
Oh, what was it? Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi. And then the black chick who had like a black female comedy show on HBO.
Issa Rae?
Yeah, they were doing jokes about like, it's like, oh, it's so great. We now get white roles. And like what they listed as white roles were like, I'm an alcoholic father, divorcee of 4 that doesn't get to see my kids. I can play. And you're like, and it's funny, right? It's funny. But imagine if you flip that shit. And I was just like, I get to do Asian roles where I just go ching, 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 ching. And I drive really bad and I got a tiny dick. Like people would lose their fucking skulls.
Yeah, that's all part of it too, isn't it?
I've-
Just to
I've-
make us feel like we have no power in the.
I have a
in the
buddy of
culture
mine
war.
that I grew up with who's an actor now. He's been working for 30 years as an actor. But when he was first starting out, he moved to New York, and I went out and saw him there one time, and I was like, tell me about how's your career going? He's like, oh, it's great. I've been a rapist 17 times, and because he's like, I'm half black, I'm half Mexican, so I get cast for all the great roles. I've been a rapist, I've been a kidnapper a bunch of times. But he thought it was funny. I mean, he had a sense of humor about it now, and now he's the head of a biker gang in what's the Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah. Him and his white wife are trying to figure out how to get their pottery store off the ground. Like my favorite thing was the commercial where the all black family decides to start a honey business together. I'm like, not that couldn't happen, but how many realities before that happens? Right? You're starting a beehive honey business.
It sounds like a Ozempic commercial or a Sky Rizzy commercial where they're always doing some make believe shit in the background. They're at a carnival, they're at a picnic, they're doing all this stuff. Yeah, and everyone's a different color and different age and a different sex, and one person's in a wheelchair as always. And you're looking at this and going, I've never been to this picnic before. This picnic doesn't exist. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Dave Attell had the funniest joke about colleges and like the incoming freshman brochures is always like a Native American high-fiving a guy in a wheelchair.
That's what it is, man. And the problem is, Sam, and you know this as much as I do, the diversity, equity, and inclusion crowd, you get a score for that. Like somebody has a clipboard somewhere, and they're taking notes on it. And if your score is high enough as a corporation, you get access to benefits, you get access to loans, you get access to money that other companies don't have access to. So you can just envision them sitting in the marketing meeting. They're like, I don't care what we do, just put a black guy in a wheelchair in this fucking ad. We've got to have that because our score is far too low. We need it to be up. This is the easiest thing in the world for us to do. Just put a bunch of people that aren't white in it. Please.
Can you look up either XC or Johnny, look up Andrew Rothie on Instagram. He has the funniest sketch about that. It's so funny. And he's gay, but he even sees it, because like he's a really good friend, very important person in my life. And he comes from more the left than I do. I like to think I'm like left center. He's way more, but he did a funny sketch on ROFFE. I don't know if you could find, but it's a really funny sketch, bro. And it's about ads, commercials. Did you see it?
Is it on Twitter?
It's on Instagram.
On Instagram, okay.
And we're getting to a point where the jokes are writing themselves. They're so obvious that people that aren't comedians are like, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing? This is like
I'm sorry. You got
Which one is it?
Is it advertising past versus present? Sam?
Yes,
Is that-
that's it. That's it. It's so funny, dude. Let's see if we can hear it.
Did you find it actually? Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, he found it, but we can't hear it.
Did you share sound when you hit share?
Yeah, might
Yeah,
have not.
start again. Start again so people don't see it. And then share. Anyways, well, as he looks for it, it's pretty fine. I want to give my buddy Andrew, some heat there. But yeah, man, it's crazy to me. And like, what is the end result here? I mean, like, are we seeing
Make sure the family in the minivan all have blonde hair. We don't want to be the ethnic brand, okay? I swear to God, if I even hear the word straight white male, you all will be out of a job so fast it will make your head spin. The casting breakdown was explicitly clear. I want a black, albino, disabled, non-binary, pansexual. This isn't about selling cars. This is about saving the world. Now, if any of you need me, I'll be in my office smelling my own farts. Let's make sure the family in the
I've never seen the skit before, but like in my mind, that is happening all the time.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's
And I
almost too
worked-
close to reality, right? It's just,
I worked at an ad agency back when I lived in LA a long time ago. Everybody there was like super far left. I could envision a scenario in which they don't even have to ask them to put that stuff in. That they're like, we've already taken care of that. Believe me, we've barred white people from even setting foot in this premises. So don't worry about that. We're good. But it's part of an agenda, you know, and it's part of the and maybe there's a case to be made. Like as a white guy, you know, I grow up watching commercials and seeing things like that, and maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe if you don't look like the people on TV, you might feel a little bit isolated. And I could understand how you, as a brand, you would want to represent your buyer profile. But if your buyer profile is 60% white,
Yes.
why are you taking them out of the
Yes.
ad? That's brand suicide. I'm not saying make it only. How about in the ads, then put the equivalent of 60% white people in the ads, and then, you know, whatever your demographic
You're totally
is, make
right.
it like correlate it, instead of going so far woke where you're like, I don't even want a white director. That's how woke we are.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it feels like revenge. It feels like revenge for like they're making up for.
But
lost
it's
time, you know what I
revenge
mean?
by people who didn't experience it. That's
Exactly,
That's the
yeah.
big. You want credit for oppression you never went through. You do all you like you'll hear women do that. Oh yeah, 50 years ago women couldn't vote. You're 20. Like what? How does that affect you? And you don't even vote now. Unless it's American Idol, you don't give a shit. Who cares? You don't even participate in it. But it's like you're completely and utterly right. Like the Dylan Mulvaney thing. Like, I don't care. You want to have like RuPaul is hilarious. You know, like before she started doing that stupid Netflix show, that stuff made me laugh, right? But like, if you're Bud Light, you can't be a shitty beer and shitty marketing, right? You can't
Right.
go, our demographic is poor white kids who in college, and then throw trans out there and then be shocked when everyone goes, what are you doing? Why? It's like, it's just bad marketing. We want to expand the brand. You are Bud Light. You're everywhere you're going to be. You're not going to, nobody like somewhere just wakes up going, hey man, have you ever heard of this Bud Light? Man, what is this shit? I mean, I saw this chick with a dick. She was like taking a bath around Bud Light, and I was like, I gotta check out what this Bud Light is. And it was great. It's like, yeah, dude, it's McDonald's. McDonald's' biggest problem right now is that they've expanded everywhere they can expand. They can't expand anymore. So now they're getting into like they're going to try to rival Starbucks,
Yeah.
and they're going to start their own coffee, which probably will be great. Give everybody diabetes, but it'll probably be great. But it's like you can't expand anymore. They're like, you're done. You're like, Bud Light is Bud Light. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
You're-
but in Hollywood and where a lot of this stuff is taking place, it's just an attitude that is pervasive throughout the entire state. Keep in mind, the state of California, up until just recently, changed their mind on this because they decided they recognized they didn't have any money, but they wanted to pay reparations
Yeah.
to people from taxpayer money from people that didn't own slaves
Yeah.
to people that never were slaves
Yeah.
in a state that never had slaves.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to think that's stunning and brave.
Yeah.
That's financial fraud and mismanagement. They should take everybody that approved that away in handcuffs and to say you can't be. And then they came out and they said, well, listen, it turns out we don't have the budget for it.
Yeah.
No shit, you don't have the budget to pay reparations to you don't have the budget to, did you see what the reparations were? It was craziness.
Insane, yeah.
Sam, it was like $5 million lump sum payment and then $97,000 a year every year. It was, you don't have, and then it was really weird stuff.
How do you divide that up? How do you divide that per person? Like, how much do I get of that?
No,
But you have to be black.
Yeah.
No, I know. But if I'm black, how much do I get of that? Like, how much?
There's a sliding scale.
Yeah. How
You
black
you
are
have
you?
to fit these qualifications. But if you do, you didn't have to pay it for like, insurance on your business. You had tax exemptions. You had all kinds of things. And what was really crazy, which you could tell they spent a lot of time thinking about this, was that it was like, and this is good for you for 250 years. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking? It's good for me for 250 years. You think I'm going to live to be 250 years old? Like, who is in charge of this state?
No, dude, it's a giant demoralization campaign. That's all it is. It's like when Gavin Newsom, is like, if you're illegal, you could come here and get a free sex change. Like, that is done to piss off taxpayers. It's like listen, I don't think, if you're asking me, Sam Tripoli, why did they not do reparations? I don't think it was because they could afford it. I think they never planned on it. It was just like something to agitate people. And when it got close enough, they're like, okay, we can't do this. And it was about getting votes. And you would watch these hearings where like they were going to the San Francisco City Council to discuss, and like black people were just like, I'm going to give this all I got. This is my shot. And you just saw guys going, and I think it should be $5 million. Why $1 million? I mean, if you did if you did the math, it's really shot. And I was like, bro, I would be doing the exact same thing. Why
yours.
not shoot for the stars? And it was so funny because for a moment I'm like, this might happen. So I wanted to open up my new store. It was going to be a Cadillac and gold chains business. It's going to be Escalades and gold chains. And it was going to be for reparation money. It was going to be called Whips and Chains.
That's a great name. That's a great name. It's like when Chappelle did it, and it was Fubu and KFC merged to create the biggest conglomerate in the world. I mean, it's so preposterous. It has to be.
Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our friends at Next Evo. That's right. The new year is a perfect time to move on from things that just aren't working in your life. With Next Evo natural CBD products, oil-based CBD can be one of them. Oil-based CBD doesn't mix well with other water-based bodies, so you absorb as low as 6% of the CBD on label. Next EVO Naturals developed a clinically tested water-soluble form of CBD, and the gummies and capsules are proven to work faster and absorb 4 times better than oil-based products. Go to nexevo.com and use the code tinfoil hat for 25% off. What are your thoughts, Xavier?
Whoa, yes. I use the gummies. When you guys are wondering why I'm so relaxed, maybe a little sleepy on the cast, it's from these gummies. They work good. They do a good job on my relaxation, and I sleep good with them as well. They got gummies, they got powders, they got capsules, they got everything you need.
It is the jam, bro. Try their strongest gummies ever. The new extra strength daily wellness CBD gummies, which customers love. Or try the all-time bestseller, their stress and sleep CBD complex products, okay? Find new ways to use CBD with a variety of convenient options, including gummies, capsules, and dissolving powders. Bang, bang, pow. You want it? You got it. Their label contains our 100% guaranteed. So what you see is what you get. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Leave oil behind and start the new year with more effective and fast acting CBD from Next Evo Naturals. Get 25% off by using tinfoil hat at nextevo.com. That's 25% off at nextevo.com with the promo code tinfoil hat. Enjoy them CBD.
Now, if it is just there to demoralize us, then hat tip to these people. They certainly do know how to rile honkies like me up into a fury. But I saw that and I just thought, God damn! Like, of all the dumb ideas that have come out of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, and there have been plenty, including Scott Wiener wanting to lower the age of consent to no more than like whatever the age is, as long as you're not 10 years or more older than the person, it's fine, which means if you're 22 and you want to have sex with a 11-year-old, that's a problem. But if you want to have sex with a 13-year-old, that's totally cool. So according to him, so like that, those are some bad ideas, but this was like one of the dumbest of the dumb.
I mean, like what Sam was saying, I think another one was when they cleaned up San Francisco. For like that quick 5 minutes, it was like, it was showing people, we can do it, but we only do it when we want to do it or when it's necessary.
Yeah, Houston said that. There's a lot of jokes out there. We did this just because he was coming in, and people are saying that because it's true. And you're like, and like you can see everybody there start to chuckle because they were waiting for like a joke, and it never came. He's like, yeah, we did it. And they're like, oh shit, dude, he just doesn't even care anymore. He's just playing ball right now.
So I wonder about this, Sam. Go with me on this strategy here.
I will.
You know about Clower and Piven, right? It's a concept. It's these two guys that came up with this concept back in the 60s to overwhelm the welfare system. Basically, instead of telling people they didn't like the welfare system, they wanted to fix it. And instead of going to them and going to the city and fixing it, they said, instead, what we want to do is we're going to convince everybody to get on welfare. So it'll overload the system and it'll break. And then once it breaks, we'll go in there and we'll remake it the way we want to. And I feel like that is what's going on in San Francisco and Chicago and New York and Portland and Seattle. It feels a little bit Clower and Piven-ish to me. It feels like, let's go in, let's get the Soros-installed woke district attorney weirdos to legalize criminality and legalize all kinds of stuff and decriminalize other things and underfund the police, and then get prosecutors in there, district attorneys and prosecutors that refuse to enforce crime, let people out of prison after their 9th DUI, and then they go and kill an entire family at their 10th time, and throw your hands up and go, mistakes were made, and demoralize and scare the hell out of so many people in those cities that they leave. The values drop to nothing. They move in like New York City in the 70s when it was a shithole where you could buy, heroin on every street corner. They move in, and you just have a longer time view on this. You just take it the approach like the people in New York did. Next thing you know, Times Square is Disneyland. You know what I mean? And it used to be a shooting gallery. So you could do that in San Francisco. You could do that in Port. Who wants to go? What are property values like in San Francisco right now? Well, they're cratering because of a doom loop, a commercial real estate doom loop. It's pulling everything down. COVID was part of it. Nobody's coming into the city. They're all working from home. So what does that do to the coffee shop, donut shop, dry cleaner down there that needs all of that day-to-day traffic, that, all the commuter traffic that comes into the city to work in these big high-rises? Well, the high-rises are empty. So then the little companies go out of business, and then the commercial real estate owners of these massive buildings and Westfield malls and everything, they start to default. The banks start to take these things back. And next thing you know, the entire value of the city goes down. It's going to go down. I mean, San Francisco has value, but at what price? And at some point, They're going to make a decision. The stock has been shorted enough, and then come in and buy it.
So
So,
you're saying,
hold on,
Yeah, go ahead.
Xavier, then you can jump in. So I was watching this video called "The Capitalist Conspiracy" by G. Edward Griffin,
Mhm.
and something really resonated with me, which was what they call pressure from above and below.
Mhm.
And because he talks about in this video, which is based off a book. If you guys can find it, it's you don't have to look for it, but I mean, if you listening at home can find this video, I did a deep conspiracy rewind on it. It is illuminating, dude. You're like, yep, everything clicks. And part of this is like, we all know that they want a new world order, but what they want to do to break us first is this, they want martial law. So they want it so absolute, and this fits into what you're talking about in a different way, but it does fit in, is that they want to get so bad that we are willing to give up our personal freedoms for safety and beg that they throw out the laws of the land for martial law. And that's why, like, if you see Canada, the Canadian government just put out something that said, please stop filming people stealing your packages. It infringes on their privacy.
Wow.
And you go, oh, is this a real thing? And it's a total real thing. You're like, where does that come from? Demoralization, government pressure from top, which is we're not going to save you. And then pressure from below, which is crime is out of control and you don't feel safe. Please save us, which is come in and just lock everyone and everything down.
Yeah. I wonder about this, Sam, because, my line in the sand has always been, if there's blue helmets on U.S. soil, I'm out of here.
I think there is already, dude. I think we have blue helmets here in New Mexico, right? Or in Utah.
I think what we might have is, as somebody pointed out to me, blue helmets are a great target. So what you really want is you want them to not be in blue helmets, but you want them to think like that. What if you keep hearing the term military age fighting men coming from the southern border, right? What if the play is we're going to run a couple years of moving all these people up in, and then Dick Durbin, you and I talked about this before. Did Dick Durbin proposed, he just sort of blurted out one time, well, maybe we find a path to citizenship if they serve in the military. And it was like alarm bells went off in my head, like, holy shit. Okay. You come across the border, you're enticed to come across the border. You come to America, they make a deal with you at some point. If you want to join the military, then we'll give you citizenship. Now, over 70% of current Americans are ineligible for the military due to obesity, stupidity, or criminality. Those are the three things that they're not qualified. So, and they've lowered the entrance exams and they've lowered the physical fitness, and still you can't get, there's just people they either don't want to do it or they can't do it. But what if you had an entire army coming in through the southern border that was motivated to join, in fact, had a pretty damn good incentive? Those guys could very easily shoot at Americans on American soil. Whereas American troops, the thing had always been, I don't think American troops on American soil will shoot Americans. I just don't think that will happen. I think there'll be something. Well, what if they weren't really American troops? What if they were an international group of troops? What if they were brought in and made this now, it might not happen in the next couple of years. It might take some time for this, but they play a long game. And if you wanted to create an internal domestic gulag system, an army, you would have all the people you need, right?
No, I agree with that. And a great example of what you're talking about is what happened in Canada with the trucker convoy. People are like, these people aren't Canadians. Some people thought they were from Montreal, which has a very adversarial relationship with the rest of Canada. But a lot of people are like, these might be UN people from other countries coming in here and pulling this shit because Canadians won't do it to Canadians. I think when I went on Rogan and said, like, dude, immigration riots are coming. Dude, we're 1 week into January. Like, today's 10 days in, and all the chaos that's happened so far. And this is 10 days in.
No.
Oh.
So and that's, you know, that's just the immigration side of things. You know, there was I mean, we haven't even gotten into the financial side, because the financial side is a catastrophe waiting to happen.
So
And,
wait, so I was about to ask you. You were gonna say that. I was gonna ask you. There's gonna be a crash coming soon, because you kind of mentioned how the cities are going down in value. That means a crash is coming soon. I have a lot of homies trying to buy a property, but they're at the moment we're like, well, what if I buy and then it crashes 6 months later? I look like an idiot. I mean, what are your predictions? You see that going down?
So I will say this: I'm not licensed to give financial advice. I am licensed to give real estate advice. I have been a real estate broker, which is above a salesperson, for 25 years in California and Nevada. So I can talk a little bit about this. You've got if I would be on the sidelines right now with regard to real estate purchasing, because you've got really high interest rates and you've got a ton of uncertainty. I could very easily see things collapsing. But and let me tell you why I think things could collapse. Because let's go back to 2012 when Obama was president. He signed something called the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. And that was an amendment to the original Smith-Mundt Act that came out in 1948. That was right after World War II. And we'd seen the devastating effects of propaganda on society. And the Smith-Mundt Act of 48 said, okay, we can't use propaganda in America on Americans because we just saw what happened in Germany and elsewhere. We're not going to do that. We'll still use propaganda on everybody else, but we're just not going to do it on our own people, which seems reasonable and very nice of them. Well, Obama changed that. In 2012, he signed the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, which legalized propaganda to be used inside America. Now, my assumption at the time was that you don't take the extraordinary step of legalizing propaganda if you don't intend to use it. And what have we seen since then? We've seen a ton of propaganda. Now, to be fair, we saw propaganda before that. And I'm not trying to say that like there was no lying in the media before 2012. There most definitely was. But they knew they were going to need to legalize it because they knew they had something cooking for which propaganda was going to be imperative. And they needed to assure everybody that participated in it that they were covered. They weren't going to go to prison for it. Something recently has happened in which they have signed. So taking that train of thought with the Smith-Mundt Act, they've recently passed banking regulations which legalized bail-ins. Now, you remember what a bailout is back in 2008 with the thing. That's when the government bails out the banks. The banks needed help. The government comes in and says, we'll give you money. It's taxpayer money.
This is nuts.
But we'll give it to you and we'll bail you out. When you open a bank account, just a traditional normal bank account, you think you're putting your money in your bank account at Bank of America. In actuality, in legal terms, that's their money. That's their bank account. You don't own that money. The minute you put it in their bank account, you become an unsecured creditor of the bank. You're in third position behind the bank, the bondholders, and then you. So if there is a collapse and you think you're going to get your money out, maybe, but not if there's a collapse of the whole system, you're in trouble. If the branch manager steals all the money out of the mini vault, you're fine. FDIC can make you whole. If there's a systemic banking collapse, you're in big trouble. Now, they legalized a bail-in, which means that the banks can now, instead of going to the government for money, they can just go in and take the money out of your account because it's not your money, because it's not your bank account. Now, that was all written into the contract to begin with. They could have done this anyway. But I would suggest that you don't take the extraordinary step of legalizing a bail-in, much like the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, unless you intend to use it at some point. And so I am of the belief, and this is hard to pin down to a year or a day or whatever, but I'm of the belief that if you go and take the extraordinary step of legalizing bail-ins, at some point, you're going to use it. And so when that happens, all bets are off.
Where do we, do we put our money in a credit union? Like, where do we go? I mean, like, what am
credit unions are good. So for those that say, well, the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, will backstop this because they say when I open my account that the FDIC will back my accounts. It used to be up to 100,000. Now it's up to 250,000. And you know what? If the branch manager steals all the money, they will make you whole because they can make you whole. They have about 2% of all the money out there in all the deposits on hand, the FDIC. So for every $1 you think that you've got in your bank account, you'll get 2 cents from the FDIC. That is if the FDIC has any money at all, because the money that they've been sitting on, that 2% of all deposits, in order to do something with it over the years, you know what they did? They bought bonds, and the bonds are all upside down. So the FDIC is totally insolvent. So they are setting the stage for a banking collapse. I don't, again, it's like crystal ball stuff. Like, I don't know when it's going to go, but like, if you see a house that has a foundation that is falling apart, the house is going to fall apart at some point, right? You just know it. You don't know when, you don't know if it's going to take a storm to do it or just, heavy rain, but one of these days it's all going to come down. And you don't want to be there when that happens. So I think that what people should do is just reevaluate, and you can do a variety of things, but just re-examine the relationship that you have with your bank.
With God.
With God. It used to be, we go to the bank. That's where we keep our money. The bank is a safe place. Well, what if the bank wasn't a safe place? Because it's not a safe place.
Would you suggest putting money?
You're better off burying your money in your backyard at this point. I'm not kidding.
What about crypto?
I'm sorry to cut you off
crypto
all the time, Charlie. I'm a horrible interviewer. And when I get anxious, I just blurt out questions. But sorry to the listeners.
You're the Tourette. You have Tourette's for interviews.
Do you think investing in taking that money and putting it into a house is a good idea?
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, it's such a gamble right now because what are house values going to be? I mean, there's an argument that can be made that say, well, listen, you better get in while you can, because if it were up to BlackRock, they'd own everything, So I do understand that. But the thing is that if you buy a house at the wrong time, your hands are tied. You know what I mean? You have to watch how these cycles go. You have to watch a variety of things. I mean, at some level, you just need a place to live, right? So if you're just buying a house because you're like, I need to live someplace and I want it to be a good investment, but it's not like make or break or, I mean, for most people, it's the biggest investment they'll ever make. You don't want to be wrong. Well, I'll tell you what, you've got a situation where there's a ton of people that are in their homes at like 3% interest rates. Those people are very comfortable where they are. Regardless of the price of the home, their interest rate is pretty good. If they got in at a good price for their home on top of that, bonus. But they're not going to, let's say that they're busting out of the seams of their house. Like they just had another kid. They really need to be that move up buyer. They need to move up into a bigger place. And maybe they need to be out of this one area and they need to be closer to schools, right? And they need to make that purchase. But to make that purchase, to go from the $300,000 house that they have now to the $600,000 house that they really need, it's not just that the price of the house is double. The interest rate's more than double too. So it's like quadrupling your payment. And then you have to be right about when you bought it. Or am I buying it? What if what if everything goes down? I mean, yeah, if rates go down at some point, you can refinance, which will bail you out on one end of that. But if you bought the house at the wrong time, at the peak of the market, you may have to sit through an entire cycle. I know this from selling homes in Las Vegas for 10 years, 15 years and watching this, and watching this thing. Yeah, I know people that bought. If you just made that one bad choice, you were in that house for 9 years until you were at a point where you could break even again. I mean, that is a long time to sit around and wait. So I am, again, I'm not licensed to give investment advice. So I really am, I'm telling you, you asked XG, do I like crypto? I like Bitcoin. I like Monero. And you know why I like them? Because they have a limited supply. So they can't get hyperinflated away, because that is sort of at the core of all of this. What's been going on with the banking is that when you have the magic printing machine, you never stop printing money. You just can't help yourself, and that devalues the currency. So you're in a fiat system, and it's entrusted to the worst people in the world, central bankers. They're going to break the machine. They're going to break the system. That's what they do. And fiat currencies always go to zero. They just always do eventually. If you give a long enough timeline, they go to zero. So like if you want to just completely and utterly manage your downside risk, I'd buy gold and silver, because you can't pull it out. You can't pull silver out of the ground for what they charge for it. You know what I mean? If you pull it out, refine it, get it ready, ship it, package it, do all that stuff, they're artificially suppressing the price of silver right now, but they can't do that forever. So I don't know. I would be looking at physical items, gold and silver, that doesn't have a counterparty risk on the other side, meaning for me to do well, I don't need somebody else to do poorly. You know, I can ride with this. But if you're looking to just kind of like, I want to ride this storm, I'm not looking to get rich, but I'm definitely not looking to go broke. I mean, I'd be in gold and silver. But
I mean, even cars are up right now. My dad's looking for a new car, and the price on vehicles are
They don't want you to own
unbelievable.
anything.
Yeah, they don't.
You'll own nothing and be happy. And part of the reason why you'll own nothing is because if they have their way with this new paradigm of money. So in this scenario, you could see a banking collapse happen, right? And then the government and the banks throw you a proverbial lifeboat, right? We're going to save you. I know you've just lost all your life savings, but of these US dollars, we're going to give you something different. We're going to give you a central bank digital currency. We're going to give you a Fed coin, right? It's going to be, it's like crypto, except that, it's not Bitcoin, of course, but they'll conflate it and make you think that it is one when it's not, and get you into a scenario where you're using a central bank digital currency that's fully programmable by them. They can set it to do whatever they want it to do. They can set it to not allow you to buy steaks because of carbon dioxide. They can set it to not work at any store. They can set it so you can never buy a gun with it. They can set it so that it expires. Hey, Sam, the Christmas numbers came in, and oh boy, retail spending was down 11%. So we've made a decision that 30% of your Fed coins are going to expire in the next 90 days. Get to spending before they evaporate. They can do that with central bank digital currencies. All that stuff can happen. So when Klaus Schwab says you'll own nothing, the reason why he's so confident in that is because you'll never be able to save enough to buy anything if you've got currency that can be set to expire. And that's what they'll do. So sorry, I feel like I just threw a grenade in this party.
No, dude. I mean,
but I mean, that's possible. I'm not saying that that's for sure.
China, China's got something going on like that. I mean, it's not the way you claimed it, but I mean, they can stop you from flying.
Yes, they already do. They stop you from flying. They stop you from getting on trains if your social credit score is too low. Yeah, they already do that. They are they're training their citizens. And of course, when we look at China in general, or a city like Shenzhen that put in that social credit system, we're mortified. We're like, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. This is a dystopian hellscape. That's what we're thinking. Our officials are like taking notes. How do we do this? What software how did you convince them to do it? You have 300 million facial recognition cameras just in this one city. Okay, we could do that. How do we buy them? What's the, so this idea has been out, that the social credit system concept, it's not conceptual in China. It's up and running, but it's the plan is that to be exported to us. But the thing is, as we all know, that you can't just get people to get on board with that unless you have the appropriate crisis. And that takes us back to where Yuri Bezmenov was talking about. The demoralization takes 20 years. The destruction takes 5 years. Then you introduce a 6-week crisis, like COVID. And that happens, and it breaks everybody's brains. He tells Ed in the interview, I can shower them with authentic information. It won't matter. I can drag them, take them, show them the concentration camps myself. It won't matter. He's after that 6-week process, the minds of these people are broken to a place where you can't put them back together. And then you start that fourth stage, which is normalization, which is we've always worn masks. We've always stood on the dot. We've always gone one direction down this grocery store aisle. We've always, masked up. We've always taken COVID vaccines, And so once you get to that, it's incremental. And these crises that they talk about, I feel like we went through that demoralization 20-year phase, which was 9/11 to COVID. We're in the destruction phase now. We got a couple years of destruction. We'll get another crisis, and then that'll take us into a normalization process. These people are evil geniuses. They know human psychology. They know how to manipulate us. They know how to break us. But I will say this: all of these agendas are contingent upon them having control of the media and having control of the narrative. If they lose control of the narrative, be that because nobody's watching mainstream anymore, everybody's going to the alternative, or people are on social media. If you get to a point where you lose control of the narrative, then all bets are off and people might see through all of this. But if they can control that media and keep you believing a certain thing, then they've got you. So that's what, put $1 in the Yuri Bezmenov was right tip jar, because he was right about a lot of things. And I'll tell you what, I went down a rabbit hole with him where I started watching a lot of him speaking at conferences and things like that in the 80s. And it is so fascinating. I mean, it feels like he could be talking about what was happening last week.
It's like George Carlin sets where it's like he just still nails it, even though it was in the 80s, right? So I wanted to ask you, there's like 5D, then there's 1000D chess, what's his name? James Lindsay, who I think is a really great mind and really smart. When these pro-Palestinian protests were popping up and they were just like, this is a new BLM, I pushed back on that at first. And I'm somebody who will admit when he's wrong. Okay. So I pushed back on it, but now I'm starting to go look at this stuff and go so somebody put a video out of the San Francisco city council voting 8-5 for a ceasefire. And I just feel like there's this psychological operation going on to associate sticking up for the Palestinians with being a Marxist. And for me, it's just like, those aren't the same things. Like, I am not a Marxist. I'm against Marxism, but I'm also against genocide. So when you're shutting down an airport and not let people grab their flight, how's that helping the Palestinians? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's first of all, it's not helping the Palestinians. It's making
so is that being done on purpose?
It's making people hate whatever your cause is. So if you are a pro-Jewish group, you would finance the pro-Palestinian groups and turn them into the biggest cunts in the world so that everybody would hate them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's exactly what's going on.
It goes back to what Saul Alinsky was talking about. He had some guys approach him back. He was a Chicago organizer, one of Barack Obama's guys, his mentor. And these kids came up to him, college kids, and they said, we want to go protest this Republican guy who's coming to speak here. What should we put on our signs? And he goes, no, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Don't go protest this guy and hold up signs saying how terrible he is. Instead, go to his rally, dress like the Ku Klux Klan, and every time he says something you actually hate, just applaud. And they were like, whoa. So if you want to think about it that way, I mean, I have zero in common with these lunatic leftist maniacs, except that I have sympathy for the Palestinian people too. And I am finding it very hard to support that far left group, even though we have something we agree on here, because it feels very contrived. I don't think that half of them could find Gaza on a map. I don't think that they're.
I think you're right, dude.
I don't think they're too smart. I think they just like to find marginalized groups. Now, the Palestinians are a marginalized group, and what has been done to them over the years is reprehensible. you're not going to solve it by getting out there in the streets and protesting, though. Make your voice heard, do whatever you need to do. I have no problem with that. But it's pivoted since then, if you notice. It's now become be obnoxious.
Yes.
And be aggressive and be make people hate you. I mean, nobody that glue. How do you feel when you see the dipshits that glue themselves to the freeway for climate change? You want to run them over, right? You want to run them over. I don't care what they're.
Yeah.
So
100%.
It feels a lot like that. This is the equivalent of gluing your hand to the floor of the Porsche dealership in Germany, like those people did, and you just want to go. Why don't they lock the doors and turn the lights off and leave them in there? You know what I mean? So I could, you want to talk about like 4D chess, right?
Yeah.
That's
100%, dude.
Make the people that are actually your enemies look preposterous to the rest of the world, and therefore then they discredit themselves in the process. So I would have never known things. I would have never recognized that 20 years ago. I would have never seen it for what it was. But it's so weird. It's like, those, I always think of it like those paintings that you see that are all just a bunch of dots, and you kind of like tilt your head and close one eye and you're like, oh shit, a giraffe. I see it. Mm-hmm. Once you see the giraffe, you always see the giraffe. But you can have somebody standing right next to you who can never see it. And you're just like, how can you not see it? It's right there. And that's the trick. And that has been pulled on us for a while. And we've all been guilty of it. We all couldn't see the giraffe at some point, but you can now. And when I watch these tactics being played out, when you see, these people that were like in the summer of love, like Black Lives Matter and blah, 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 blah. And you just go, I know who George Soros is. I know he does a thing called color revolutions, tulip revolution, rose revolution, orange revolution. They're all color coded. They wear purple. Everyone's got different color and everything. And I looked at this and I go, this is just the black revolution. This is just George Soros funded black. They're pulling a regime change on us, and we're to thunderous applause, Sam. Everyone's stunning and brave, stunning and brave. It's like George Soros is destroying the country. Don't you understand what's going on? They'll never figure it out. They can't figure it out. They think they're on the side of good. They think, and I think a lot of the people that stood up for like BLM and all these things, I think a lot of them at their core are compassionate people.
I
don't
agree.
like to see other people being trampled on. I could
totally
get on board with that. But the problem is what you're seeing is a manipulation. What you're seeing is, you don't see the outrage for Tamir Rice, the 15-year-old who was shot by a cop 2 seconds after the cop showed up, blasted him on video. 2 seconds, 1,000, 2,000, bang. Where's the outrage for that? But instead you get George Floyd. You get Rodney King.
Yes.
Flawed people.
That is
flawed
part
heroes?
of the moralization as well. That these aren't good people. Not that anyone deserves to die.
No, of course not. No. I'm not saying that. But these aren't heroes. These are average to below average.
And they're picked very specifically because they give enough ammunition to both sides that we never, ever, ever come together and agree on anything. You have the one side going, hey man, the cop's stuck on his neck and did all this to him. And then you have the other side going, he's a criminal committing crimes. Right. Why are we supporting this guy? And that's just how they get it going. They're very specific on who they pick to cause the wedge. And then you have these kids, this is a big fight for parents who end up being successful enough that their children are born without any need. Everything is there from the moment they take their first breath. They're in the best of everything. And it gets back to what I say here all the time is like food, shelter, clothing. And guess what else we need? Purpose. And if everything you're given is already, everything you need is already there, you will search out purpose, and your purpose will be somebody else's oppression, someone else's fight. And you'll fight that fight, not knowing that you are 100% pushing forward your own demise. the death of your own country, the freedom to choose all these different ways to live your life and express yourself, those will all go away because you'll be convinced that safety is more important than freedom. And it's not.
There's nothing more dangerous than a rich liberal white woman.
Yeah. Oh, they are the word. If you look at the San Francisco town hall meeting or whatever it is where they voted for a ceasefire, it's all rich white kids, mostly white women in masks. They're wearing masks.
Gotta wear a mask.
What are we doing?
It's a religion. It's of course a religion, it has its own little sacraments, and it has its own superstitions, and it has its own religious paraphernalia and garments and things that you. I had this epiphany when I watched a lady do a presentation during COVID, and she walked up to the podium, and she was very meticulous about what she was doing. She took the flap off of one ear, off of the other, put them out, folded this, had the Purell there, pump, pump. Wipe, and then she my name is so and so, my pronouns are sure, and I just went, oh, it's a fucking religion. I get it now. This is these are the rosary beads of COVID. You know what I mean? And when you do that, it gives people with, if we're being honest, no meaning in their life, a purpose. It gives them something to do. And what it was I'm going to save everybody from a virus with a 99.98% survivability rate and a median death age of 80. Regardless, I'm going to save them during Thanksgiving by calling the police because there's too many cars next door, and I think they might be having a super spreader party. So you take that COVID Karen mentality, and then you say, all right, well, what if we took that way of thinking with COVID? I'm going to save my block. I'm going to save my city block. And instead of it being a virus, what if it was climate change? And what if COVID Karen thought she wasn't just saving the block, she was saving the entire planet? Now she's on a real mission. Now her empty life has meaning. And so that scares the shit out of me, because a lot of these, of course, it's following the same pattern too, where you get, trust the science, but the science, it's easy to buy a scientist as it is to buy a politician or a doctor or whatever. So it's the same sort of process. Oh, we're going to have the sacraments. Oh, we're going to have this. You're going to have to tithe in the form of taxes, carbon taxes. You know what I mean? You can almost feel the setup.
Yeah, and then when you're talking about the stakes being the survival of the planet, there's nothing that you could possibly. There's nothing that you defend that to the death. You know what I mean? Because that becomes like the thing you can't compromise at that point. When you already do that with people who identify with their ideas, because the people that I want to spend the most time with are people who can kind of try on an idea, and say, oh, okay, I don't think this is for me, but I get what you're saying, and these people are so inflexible to the point which you just can't talk to them at all. It's like if you say, hey, have you thought about this? That becomes, they take that personally,
you're either with me or against me.
You've wounded me, and it's it's I worry about the future for
I do.
Which is exactly what you said. Yeah,
I worry about that too, because it's easy to whip up people into a frenzy because they think they're helping.
Yes.
It'd be different. It'd be a different story if you had to convince those people to go shoot their neighbors. It might be. Maybe some of them would be on board.
No, I think they would do it. I really do.
If they were saving the planet, they probably would. But how many of them will shame you?
Yes.
Or for buying meat or eating meat or whatever. How many of the woke school districts are going to say, in an effort to combat climate change, we have removed all meat from the cafeteria? I can see that happening in the next 2 years.
Yeah. I'm going to end on this real quick because I don't want to keep you all day. What I think is really sad is that people are beginning to accept that it's going to end badly. I was talking to Jeffrey Wilson today about the dating pool and what dating is like, and it's like how I was talking to another buddy of mine, but I was discussing about how it's almost like within the dating pool that people think they're just going to end up divorced and on meds. And that's just the way it's going to be. Like, it's almost like a dating strategy. Like, oh, I'll just get knocked up and get child support, and then I'll just be miserable on psych meds. And they just accept it as the alternative, which is love and respect and staying in and staying in a relationship. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling anybody here I'm perfect and I don't have a bunch of faults on how I've proceeded in my life, but I just feel like I'll just get child support, or I'll just have kids and be single and pay some child support, not going, I don't have to finish that way. I don't have to die alone, hawked up on and numbed out by medication.
People behave and pattern their behavior after what they see, and they see that. The expectations have been set so low, especially in America for this, especially in Southern California. Southern California is a really bad place. I mean, as somebody that lived there for over 30 years.
I wish I could get out, man.
It's relationships there are very difficult. You have a conversation with somebody, they're looking over your shoulder to see who's walking in the door. That's very unusual. It's not a normal human interaction. So I think that we have to raise our standards a little bit. I think we have to expect a little bit more. Relationships are tough, obviously, but and divorce in America is through the roof. But maybe people need to stick together for the sake of their kids at this point, because you have to have a united front when it comes to kids. I mean, I have what if you're a parent, you're two parents, but you each feel differently about the vaccines, and you have a kid? Like, now what? So you got to have those conversations sort of beforehand and make sure that if you're going to have a family or with somebody that is ideologically aligned with you on some of that stuff. I mean, I don't have to believe everything you believe, but that's an important one, right? Medical, what's the medical direction we're going to take with our children? Are we going to just get them into the pediatrician's office and take those shots every single time we're told to, or are we going to do things differently? If you're not on the same page with your other half on that, you're cooked.
Got to be that. It's got to be that in flat Earth. It's got to be that in flat Earth. You guys got to be aligned.
You got to be.
You love flat Earth.
You're like you're speed dating. You're like, before we go.
Yeah, before we go.
Globe or flat.
But
pear shape.
But in Eddie Bravo says, you don't bring that up to the third date. That's third date activities, dude. You don't the first date. You don't bring up flat Earth on the first date.
You can't drop that on somebody on the first date. Well, if you do, and it goes well, you wind up at that little chapel in Vegas that's been there for 70 years. You know what I mean?
If you had Xavier Guerrero talking flat Earth with Charlie Robinson on your bingo card, you just won bingo today.
I'm going to be introducing David Weiss to the stage at an Acapulco.
Great. We love David Weiss. We think
I did too. He's a good dude.
Charlie, great job today. You came and crushed. One more time, tell them where they can find you.
Macroaggressions.io is the new website. From there, you can find everything that you need to. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Macroaggressions.io. It's
all the
there.
links are below. Just click the links and you will be able to find Charlie and all of his wonderful podcast and radio show. And if you're in Acapulco, enjoy the power of rock of Charlie Robinson. Thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Thank you for having me. And by the way, if you are listening to this and you do go to an Acapulco because I talked you into it, you are contractually obligated to find me there and say, I heard you on Tinfoil Hat and I came because you said so. So I hope to see you guys there. All of you. I won't see you guys there, but I hope to see the audience there. The audience will love it. It's a great time.
All right, guys. Well, stay tuned for our breakdown of this episode and some highlights of some of my other shows. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Charlie. Enjoy the breakdown. All right, let's break it down. What'd you guys think of the episode?
He's the best. He's a great guy.
Charlie Robinson went big game hunting today, dude.
Yeah.
Well, no punches.
I'm I'm gonna go there. I want to do DMT with him in Acapulco. I want to do a little ayahuasca with him out there. With
A little what?
Ayahuasca. Is that what it's called? Right?
What's it called, Johnny?
It's ayahuasca. That's right.
Yeah, ayahuasca. Something like that.
Ayahuasca. It's ayahuasca.
There we go. I want to do that.
Who am I to make fun of anybody?
Where do you want to do that, actually?
Acapulco, somewhere in my hometown, somewhere in my homeland, where I feel deserved.
You are, dude. You are the best. You are the best.
It is hard to say.
Johnny ripped me all day last night on Broken Sims. So, dude, don't worry. Dude.
Yeah, because on the TFH Live, you made up the word cousin. You said, did you notice that actually he said cousin? He doesn't say cousin. He says cousin.
Okay. I loved it.
At least I got an excuse.
Yeah, well, that's what I told him. That's what he asked me on Broken Sim. He was like, "Who do you think has a worse grasp of the English language?" And I was like, "It's XG, but XG, you know, I mean, he grew up speaking a different language. Sam, you shouldn't even be in the contest."
Yeah, that's true. That's true, dude. He stuck up for you, dude. You should always know that.
Thank you.
Johnny sticks up for you, even when you're fully retarded.
That's like when Sam says, like, don't worry, he can spell better than a stripper. Like, that doesn't really help me out.
Yeah,
like,
but I can't. I can't spell better than that. I am a shitty speller. But it goes back to that, you know, on point. I wish we'd, due to time restraints, I wish we could have spent a little more time on solutions. But we'll see, dude. I like I said, gold and silver, buy as much as you can.
You were kind of looking for homes, like not really looking, but you love Zillow. Are you off that market?
Well, Johnny keeps sending me plantations.
You could probably own a plantation for the price of a house out here in LA.
No, dude, for less. You can get like an 8-bedroom for $700,000 and live like a fucking king.
For the price of the
plantations.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is mowing the lawn. That's it. I just look.
You don't do that. You hire somebody to do that. But you, dude, it's the best. That's my favorite work growing up. Was we had these like zero angle, big ass lawnmowers. You know, huge and
zero angle.
Well, that's because they can turn on like a dime. Basically, you know, you just kind of twist their arms like this, and they can. They're like small tractors. And bro, that was my favorite work. Just pop in the headphones, rip through some grass, bro, and you feel like you've accomplished something because you can look behind you and see, you know. There's no grass there. There was, and now there's none. Satisfying as a man to, you know, change the earth like that, to dominate the wilds. What?
I really want to own a plantation. Not the slaves, just the house.
No, you could, dude. You could. You absolutely could. I mean, the condo that I live in now, the 2-bedroom condo, we could sell this place and buy one of those plantation homes in the South. That's how expensive LA is right now. It's crazy.
We live in
unbelievable
crazy times.
It makes no sense though. Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
I mean, we should just move this whole operation to a place where we could be rich. We live. You know, there's nothing that's keeping us here other than, you know, certain family and social obligations. But if it wasn't for that, dude, we could. We're stupid. We're dumb. We're all dumb.
Are you guys Are you some of those people that wish the crash happens so that the economy can go down and then you can buy a house? Or are you those people like,
I don't want people to feel pain, but I would love to see Bitcoin go down to about 5,000.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt a lot of people. You just you feel. I know why you want to buy a lot of it, don't you? You want to buy a lot.
Well, I would like to. If I finally get paid out, I could get paid out on the lot.
Those bastards at Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki Haley just sucks. Like she's a great example of this. I'm just gonna keep moving forward and kissing the ass of the people who run everything. And I don't care if anyone doesn't vote for me because they'll rig the election.
Terrible reputation in South Carolina too, where she's from.
She's garbage.
All the journalists down there, you know, have
she
beef with her.
Garbage.
She's got a lot of personal stuff that's gonna come up though if it goes national, like her and her husband and stuff. That's really like kind of under the rug down there that will come out. You'll hear about, and she's got some Achilles heels for sure.
Johnny, you predicted it last time. You're kind of right. Is Biden going to be in there? Is he going to live?
Yeah, I mean, barring some kind of health setback, it's going to be Biden and Trump. It was too big a show last time not to run it back.
And then who's going to win it? You called it last time as well. Who's winning it this time? You don't know yet? Too soon to call?
I think Trump's going to win.
Yeah?
I do, yeah. The polling all suggests that. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, guys?
Broken Sam was good. Check it out.
Check it out. Check it out, bro. I hope
homie.
check out the live dates. Go to the website. Check out the website and enjoy these highlights.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim. So now this was old. I almost didn't do it because it's old. I almost put it in news, but this is stupid. And I love Tucker Carlson. I like Tucker Carlson because of how he treated Ron Paul, and a lot of the reporting he's done lately, I think, is worthy. But we just have to come back to this. He had Kevin Spacey on his show over the break. And if people just moved on from this, like this didn't happen.
Yeah, I like he just lets you know, dude. Like they're like, dude, it's getting a little too out there. We need you to do this for us, so we know you're still.
It really is buck breaking. Like
they buck break them.
Yeah,
they buck break them.
Notorious BLG.
And it's just like, what are we doing? And it's like Kevin Spacey was accused by like 3 people, and they all ended up dead.
There's no chance that Kevin Spacey's like wrongly this guy's not a good guy.
Yeah,
right?
go on. I want to show you something. Do you see people what they were talking about?
And
the
it
symbolism?
does seem like the presidential race is effectively frozen in place, if not over. We know who the candidates are. It's too late for another to get in. Some have already dropped out. But is it too late? Is there anyone in this country of 350 million people who could jump in at this late date and re-scramble the calculus of electoral politics? Well, there may be someone. And in fact, you already know him. You know his face. And the question is, will he get in this cycle? And that's my question for you.
Well, that's really a decision for the people, Tucker. It's not something that I really think about or want to do. And Merry Christmas to you, too. But I've always believed...
Like, is he just unself-aware? And by the way, look at the weird-ass designs on the pillow.
So they're saying that.
Looks like the
Masonic,
the envelope.
The envelope.
The apron, right?
The apron, right, yeah.
Which the Google Mail
is also,
symbol is a playoff of.
And then you got these weird, like, spirally things.
Yeah. It's like super creepy, dude.
But there's just so much weird. So he keeps doing this character, which was on a show that hasn't been, actively produced for years now. He left that show, embarrassed, defamed, and he keeps doing this character, which he has no rights to, I would assume. He didn't write the character. He didn't create that show. So Netflix, though, lets him keep doing it. That's suspicious to me because Netflix has the rights to this character, surely. Yeah, he keeps appearing places doing this. He's done it, like, for the past couple Christmases.
Right. And he does all
they should sue him if somebody wasn't kind of a part of like just letting him go out and play.
The occult darkness.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
100%. And like, what is Tucker Carlson's reason for doing it?
I can't imagine. And then you got Kevin Spacey, who should by all rights be a lefty, I would assume. He's going on Tucker Carlson. Like, it's just so many weird things about this.
Yeah, it doesn't play well, and it just lets those who've always been weary of Tucker Carlson and what he represents, and like, so I forget what it was called. What was it? It was like, it's basically like this PatCon that Tucker Carlson is, which is like, have you seen like who Twitter now wants to do live shows with? On Twitter, who they're trying to do show Tucker Carlson, like the gay black guy from CNN. They gave him
Don Lemon.
Yeah, Don Lemon is going to be and Jim Rome. Like,
Jim Rome? Really? What is this? 1999? What are we doing?
Like, why did Jim Rome get a show?
Call me Chris one more time. I know.
And like, I wish Chris Everett would beat his ass.
It was that's one of the best moments in sports history. Right?
Yeah, and so it's like, it's just really weird. And then of course that was there, and. I had
to talk about this because it just got skipped over, man. It was so bizarre, and people just kind of moved on. And Tucker has a history of just showing up random. He's really into like pop culture and stuff. Like, he shows up on random YouTube channels sometime. Like, there's this guy Hickok45 who does great gun videos on YouTube, and he just he showed up there one time, like at this guy's range in Kentucky or some damn place. Tucker did, just to do like a quick video with him. So Tucker likes being in pop culture, you can tell, but I don't know. There's something just, I can't. I wish I knew what was going on behind the scenes with this. I would love to know.
Yeah,
who
but how do
proposed
you sit there with Tucker with Kevin Spacey and not be like, dude, this guy's the creepiest. Like, dude, you could.
Like, I assume the purported reason for having him there is that, hey, this is another guy who was, in their mind, falsely accused. He got off legally. So
yeah, when all of his accusers died.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's so, I don't know, man. That's fun with stupid.
Do we have any more funs with stupid?
There's so much. Stupid
There's so much stupid fun.
We had to cull some. You sent me this today, actually. This is just a guy. I mean, he got stuck in a vase.
Dude, what do you think happened?
I don't understand. I'm just
Take off your sweater. God damn it.
Did he jump in it?
I took my belt off and I didn't do shit.
You got it, Connor. You got it. You did.
You gotta break it.
Is it metal though? It might be metal.
Why
is nobody? He's drunk. He's drunk. So what? They're clearly at a wedding or something, right?
Yeah,
like
some idiot's like, why don't you jump in that? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Why don't you take your sweater off?
Yeah, he's the guy that like gets gayer as he gets drunker.
Listen to this gay guy in the background though. The guy just wants to see him without a shirt. Listen to this gay voice in the background go, why don't you take your sweater off? Listen.
I mean, that might be him.
Hold on, no, listen. It's a super gay voice in the background. He just wants to see him naked. Take off your sweater.
Doing everything I fucking can. God damn it.
Oh, the Lord's name in vain.
Yeah. I'm still sensitive about the GDs. From
I do.
growing up in the South.
I'm now.
Anyway, that was a funny.
It looked like he was getting out there for a second.
Yeah.
But what did he do? I don't understand how.
I think what's happened is he's now gotten stuck in there and his knees are bent.
Yeah.
And he can't straighten his knees out enough to kind of push himself up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're gonna have to break it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, you hope they can.
Yeah. I mean, they'll get him out. We would hear if there was a guy still stuck in a vase.
Will you
in
look it
Oklahoma
up?
Or
Will you
something.
look it up? Is there a guy still
Guy
stuck?
breaks Guinness World Record for most time stuck in a giant vase. I wouldn't even call it. What would you call that? It's not really a vase. It's more like a planter or something, right? Like a
pot.
Yeah, pot.
Is
That's
that
what
a
it is,
pot?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there are no reports of a guy. It wasn't. The guy's name is Connor Paget.
Oh, he
from
looks
Birmingham,
like a
Alabama.
Oh yeah, he looks like a Connor Paget.
Absolutely, he does. Somehow ended up with half of his body inside a large brown vase. A party in Mountain Brook. That's what it says. Wait, there's more. There must be more video of this because this is a different angle we haven't seen here. Hold on, I feel obliged to investigate this because it's great content, Sam.
No, it looks like it's the same.
No.
angle.
Look at the thumbnail is like him sitting upright, and we never saw him sitting upright in this. Yeah, see, this is different. I'm stuck.
Dude, that might be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I'm gonna have to start shitting
I'm
in here.
stuck, and people like now he just lives in that for the rest of his life. Wouldn't you start freaking out?
Oh, dude, claustrophobia starts to set in. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, is this how they get him out? Yeah, they're gonna break it, aren't they? Yeah, they're breaking it. Yeah, somebody got a hammer. That's smart. There you go. Yeah, that's how you.
That poor vase.
Yeah, what did that vase ever do other than have a nice
dude,
welcoming
I
hole?
wanted to see him get out. Oh, look at a guy in a toilet get stuck. People getting stuck in stupid shit.
People are stupid. That's why we have fun with stupid. That's why it's the
Yeah,
hottest segment in America.
Yeah, people
2024.
love fun with stupid, everybody. Yeah, I mean, like, dude.
Sweeping the world.
That guy, dude.
Idiot.
That guy. I mean, probably upset Alabama lost, and then this.
That'll be a great story in NA someday.
That
Sam.
guy's like, there was Alabama just lost to Michigan. I hadn't come out of the closet yet, and I was stuck in a vase. I was stuck in a vase, and everyone kept telling me to take my shirt off.
So, if you're familiar with tennis shoes at all, you're into sneakers. Travis Scott is popular from that. He's also a popular musician.
Oh,
if
this
you
is
wanna call
just
him that.
annoying.
And he played this song, which is called Fiend. It's spelled F-E-I-N, which you would pronounce that Fein, I think. But he says it like fiend, and I think he means the word fiend, like you're fiending for something. You know?
Yeah. But
And
he says cousin.
he doesn't say cousin, no, but he does say fiend. So
Okay.
And he played this song 10 times in a row at a concert. I can't think. I wouldn't want to hear A Day in the Life 10 times in a row, the best Beatles song. But he played it 10 times in a row.
Johnny, I said
at a concert.
that Neil Diamond played Sweet Caroline twice in a row, and you started losing it on me.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's not too much. 10 is too much.
Ba ba ba. Okay, so the first time, everybody's super hyped. They're like, "Wow, this guy can't even hold his camera straight. He's so excited." Is this the Undertaker getting ready to come out here? What is this? I mean, it sounds like a car crash, this music.
I'm gonna be honest with
Doesn't
you,
it?
dude. How is this place packed for this dog shit?
Doesn't it sound like a car crash?
Yeah.
Or something? Look at all the phones up, dude. Look at all the phones up, bro. Rap concerts are the worst, though, because they don't try to like hold their notes or anything. You know what I mean? They don't. You can't hear anything. It's just a pyro show. It's a big ass pyrotechnic show.
Is this the guy where a bunch of people died?
Yeah.
And they're like, let's just keep going.
So this video is 14 minutes long. Again, because he plays this song 10 times in a row. So let's just skip to the end and see if there's the same energy. I'm really curious if people like start to be like, okay, dude, that's enough. No, they're still doing. This is drugs right here, bro. This is drugs. This is Molly. He's not even singing anymore. He's just got the track.
It's not.
The track is doing it. Yeah.
Nobody cares.
What is this, man? Isn't this weird, dude?
Look, they're still clapping.
He's doing it again, and they love it.
But how long is the song, Johnny?
I mean, it can't be more than like what, 2 minutes or something.
Look at this person's gun. Did you see that guy?
Yeah.
That kid's like, again?
Yeah, hold on, let's go back and catch me. Hold on, I gotta go back a little bit. Here we go.
Right here. Right there.
It's like, oh, come on, dude. That's enough already. This guy cannot hold the camera to save his life.
This music is not good.
It sounds like somebody like laying on the horn, you know, like, get out of the way! Get off the road, protesters! And then they all have that auto-tune shit on their voice at these shows. But, yeah,
dude, this is like when a comic gets drunk on stage and keeps doing the same joke over and over again.
What is this, bro? And he's just up there. You can't
Bro,
even see it.
I
Man, for all
like,
the
dude,
fire
that
and stuff.
shit is so nuts.
Isn't that crazy? Okay,
It's
there's
so
still like a
nuts.
few more goes in this. Let's go back here. Let's see if he's still doing it. One more time. Look at him over there, dude. Look at his face. Look how excited he is to do it one more time. Look at him. It's like, y'all really want this shit one more time? You want it again? Oh, yeah, I'll give it to you. I don't see any chicks at this show either. Isn't that kind of weird? There's not one chick at this show, bro. Like, do you see any chicks at this show? Look at this. None. A chick would never put up with the same song 10 times in a row.
Like, how's everybody having convulsions? Johnny, you're making me watch this 10 times in a row.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That's stupid, dude. That is just stupid. That happened a while ago. We just missed so much over the break that I had to get caught up on our Fun with Stupid. That one killed me.
That killed me, Johnny. That was just
literally possible.
That just killed me.
So this was almost news too, but it ended up being Fun with Stupid. This is from CNN. You ready for this?
Yeah.
This is from the police. Life coach radio host, and this is why you should never get advice from life coach. commit suicide together. So 2 life coach radio hosts, they killed each other. They committed suicide together.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hat, tinfoil hat, tinfoil.